Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of From the Sidelines with your host, TJ Makel. And we got a lot to get to today. As you all know, the NBA offseason has been crazy. It has been a week since I last recorded, and I think like 4 trades have happened. A bunch of people have signed. A bunch of news is broken. So let's get straight into it. Let's start off with what I think is the oldest news on here, and that is LaMelo Ball is being traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves in a deal that is Naz Reid, a first-round pick, 3 pick swaps, which don't really amount to anything. And I think that's just it for LaMelo Ball. Maybe a couple seconds. I want to first start on the Hornets side, the Minnesota side, because I feel like this is a very easy move to understand from their end. Minnesota needed something to keep Anthony Edwards engaged and wanting to be on the team. And I'm gonna be checking my phone a lot because free agency is literally starting right now as I say this. So we could see Braun news. We could see a lot of news. So if you see me keep looking at my phone, that's what it is. But Minnesota needed another guard. They needed a guard in general. They've been running out Mike Conley and I forget who else was there last year. I would assume was playing a lot of guard. Anthony Edwards is ball handling a lot. They really needed a point guard, and they went out and they got a young and really intriguing, really good pass first point guard in LaMelo Ball, who can also score the ball, shoot from 30 feet. And I know I've already seen all the memes and everything about, like their chemistry is going to be so funny. They're going to get fined so much, which I think is going to be the case. And I think that's going to be why they're one of the most entertaining teams to watch, because the way they play basketball just in general is just so entertaining between both of them. Mix them up together. And then they got a little squad over there. I'm interested to see what they do. I think they need to go get more wing depth because I don't love the fact that right now it looks like Ayo Dosunmu is probably going to start at the 3. And that's the other move. They extended Ayo Dosunmu. I don't love it. I don't love the amount of money they gave him. Obviously, it was expected. I think they made a trade. They traded away, I can't even tell you who Julius Randle, so they can make the space to get Ayo back. And he's a really good player, don't get me wrong. It's just, I think it was like a 3-year, $122 million deal or something, if I'm not wrong. Maybe it was a 4-year deal. It's a lot of money for an Ayo Dosunmu role player type of player. And then he's a smaller guy. I think he's like 6'3", 6'4", and they're going to start him at the 3. I don't know if I love that. Jaden McDaniels, obviously, and Rudy Gobert rounded out. Like, those two defensively will be able to hold it down. But I'm interested to see if this is the move that puts Minnesota over the hump. I think it could be. Like, if LaMelo is as healthy as he was last year, which I think is like his healthiest season, and he's playmaking the way he is, and he can be a little bit more efficient from 3 and maybe just stop with some of the boneheadedness and maybe lock in a little bit more on the defensive side of the ball. Like, we all know LaMelo Ball is not a crazy defender at all. He's not even a good defender, but he's got length. He's like 6'7", he's got size, which will always just be beneficial to you regardless. So I'm excited to see this team in action. I'm excited to see LaMelo LaMelo and Ant together. I think it'll be just very entertaining. I'm trying to think, what else did I miss about this? Yeah, I'm excited to see Anthony Edwards play off ball. Like, I think the last couple of years, as time's going on, he's been playing more and more with the ball in his hands. I'm kind of excited to see him play in that regular 2-guard role, versus being like the main facilitator and bringing the ball up and all that stuff. Like, I'm excited to see with him being able to make the cuts, being able to play off ball, catch and shoot, because Anthony Edwards is one of the best 3-point shooters in the league, which is already crazy. And then he crazy athleticism. So him not having to be overly taxed is something that I think is going to be really beneficial, especially because in the last year or two, like, the injuries started to pile up. I mean, he's just having to do so much to carry that team. And we've already seen this team go to back-to-back Western Conference Finals. I would not count them out for another one if LaMelo Ball especially can stay healthy. This is a guy who averages less than 50 games a season. I think last year he played around 60, maybe, but he only was playing like 28 minutes a game. So if LaMelo can stay healthy, for the Timberwolves, I love this trade. On the Hornets side of things, I've been going back and forth, and I'm kind of glad I had a week to sit here and reflect on this trade before I come on here and talk about it. I like what the Hornets are doing here. I think I'm officially on the side of liking what the Hornets are doing with trading LaMelo Ball. I think they're getting ahead of the punch. I think a lot of teams wait until it's too late, like the Ja Morant trade, like the I'm trying to think of others in recent memories, but like teams will hold on and hold out hope that they can turn things around, whether they can build a roster or whether their guy can stay healthy or whether their guy can take the next leap. And sometimes it just never happens. And I think the Hornets are like, this is a perfect sell high moment now. They only sold for one first round pick, but Naz Reid is also a really good player. And he'll be really beneficial as a forward to this team because, as we see, they traded away Miles Bridges, which we'll get into a little bit later. But it's going to be very beneficial for them having gotten ahead of this, because I think in a year or two from now, if LaMelo's only played 80 games throughout 2 seasons and he's not really on nothing, they're going to be like, yep, that's why we traded him now instead of having to make this decision 2 years from now. So overall, I do think that the Hornets came out as winners in this trade just as much as I think the Timberwolves did. I think the Timberwolves were in a position where they needed to do something to keep Anthony Edwards engaged. And the Hornets were in a situation where, look, we had a really good run, really good second half of the season, but we've seen that that's not LaMelo Ball. We've seen that that's not what he's been able to do consistently. He's been out there and play. And then I think another thing that goes into it for them is, even if LaMelo is playing, are we really competing for anything? Are we really, like, is LaMelo Ball really going to be able to be the best player on his team? Now, what I do hate it for is Con Knipple. I really hate this trade for Con Knipple because I think that he is going to struggle a lot more with whoever. I mean, if Kobe White is who they're starting at point guard, I really hate that for them. I love Kobe White. I think he's a really good player. I think he's more of a combo guard and a sixth man than a starting point guard in this league. But you can just see like the on-off numbers versus when LaMelo was on the court last year versus when he's off. They're just a completely different team offensively. Brandon Miller and Con Knipple were not hitting their shots without LaMelo Ball because LaMelo just makes it so much easier. He's an elite playmaker as it is. So then when you have like elite shot makers, it just makes it so much easier. But I'm very intrigued to see what ends up happening out there. Because like I said, no LaMelo Ball for Con Knipple and Brandon Miller. Are they going to be able to keep that keep it up, or are they gonna start lacking? So I guess we'll see. But overall, I understand where the Hornets are coming from. I fully get where they're coming from. Would I have done it? No. As a fan, do I love it? No. Like if I'm a Hornets fan, do I love it? Absolutely not. You're coming off the best season you guys have had in however long. The only bit of hope they've had in the last 25 years, and all for really nothing, because they just trade away LaMelo the next year. So we'll see what that pans out to be. There's so much more to get into, so I don't want to sit here and talk about the Hornets and LaMelo Ball when it's been done for a week now. But overall, I think both teams, and DeAndre Jordan is re-signing with the Pelicans, and Ousmane Dieng is re-signing with the Bucks. 3-year deal, $17 million. Why is DeAndre Jordan still in the league, man? I'll never know. But overall, yeah, good move for both sides. I think the Timberwolves got exactly what they needed out of it. I think the Hornets took the opportunity to buy high while they could, or sell high while they could. They got a first-round pick. They got Naz Reid, who I think will fit in really well with that lineup. I don't love Kobe White being their starting point guard, but at the end of the day, we'll see if it works. We'll see if it doesn't. There's still moves to be made. Free agency literally just started, so hopefully they can go bring in another point guard, whoever that may be. I was kind of liking Ja Morant for that team, but obviously we see he goes to the Raptors, which we can go ahead and get into right now. Ja Morant to the Raptors in a deal for, who was it? No, I'm lying. Ja Morant to the Blazers in a deal for Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray, straight up, no picks attached, none of that. Where do I start with this trade, right? For the Grizzlies, cool, I guess. They did the exact opposite of what the Hornets did, and they just waited entirely too long to move on, and now they get nothing for Ja. Like they just gave him away pretty much. They kind of salary dumped him. And they take on Jeremy Grant, which they're cool with because they don't have any money. Like they're not worried about money. They're not worried about competing. And then they get Chris Murray, who's like a cool young-ish guy, like whatever, cool. I don't know why I keep calling the Blazers Raptors. On the Blazers side of things, I don't get it. I don't know why they want Ja Morant when they literally have Drew Holiday, Damian Lillard, who's going to be back healthy, Scoot Henderson, who started looking like he was taking a leap towards the very end of the year and come playoff time, and they still got Shaden Sharp, who's also a guard. Like he's a two guard, but he's still a guard. So you have five guards who's getting moved, and they're saying they want to keep all of them, which makes no sense to me. I think Shaden Sharp's going to be the guy that ends up getting moved. I think he probably has the most value out of any of them. Um, but yeah, just John Morant and Damian Lillard does not sound like a backcourt that I want. I love both of them separately, but together, I'm good off. I'm good off it because they can't either really play without the ball. I mean, I guess Dame's like can stretch the floor and um which is cool. But like Ja can't shoot. You put Drew Holiday out there. Like I feel like they're gonna run a lot of Drew Holiday at the three and a lot of if they keep him Shaden Sharp at the three. But it kind of concerns me as to what they plan on doing with Scoot Henderson because Scoot Henderson's a guy who you just drafted second overall. Yes, it was 3 years ago now, maybe 4 years ago. It was a while ago, but he started taking a leap come playoff time, and now his minutes are kind of just cut unless they don't think that Dame's going to play more than 25 minutes a game. And they're like, okay, well, Dame and Scoot can coexist. And then Ja can just get in wherever he wants. And they can play the two. I don't know. They have three legitimate point guards on the team, which is kind of what is scary to me. And they all should be getting minutes. And then they have a fourth one who's a point guard, shooting guard, I guess. And then they have still Shaden Sharp. So I don't know what the hell the Blazers got going on. I don't know what the hell it kind of seems like they're just searching for names, but they don't have a single power forward on that. I just don't like their roster. I don't because as far as wings go, like you just traded away Chris Murray, who I thought was a solid wing for them, and now it's like you got too many cameras. You got Denny, obviously, and then you got like Shaden Sharp. Are you gonna try to play him at the three? Like I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a fan of what they got going on over there. I don't think they're gonna be a playoff team. They're gonna be a play-in team again. I'm sure there's more moves to come for that team because it just doesn't make sense. But yeah, Ja is finally off the Grizzlies, which felt like it took way longer than it should have. I don't know why they didn't just trade him at the deadline, especially if this is what they were going to get in return for him. Um, Kind of glad they didn't because Miami probably would have traded for him, and Miami probably would have gave up some shit that they wouldn't have been able to get Giannis for. And if you don't know, I'm a Heat fan, so I'm glad we got Giannis. Um, but overall, just really weird, just a really weird situation in general with the Ja stuff because he goes from being like, oh my gosh, he's going to be one of the best players in the league to getting into all this trouble. And then he started getting injuries. And then it's just like, is John Moran a player that you really want on your team? Like, I feel like if you asked all 30 teams, fan bases, do you want John Moran on your team? I think a lot of them would say no. Like, as a Heat fan right now, I was considering, like, I wouldn't be mad at a Jaw trade. But then I'm like, do I want John on my team? Like, I don't know what's coming with that. Like, I don't know the extracurricular stuff. He can't even really shoot the ball. Not to mention he's always injured. Like, I don't know. I was kind of just like cool off it. So I feel like a lot of teams felt this way. If I was a Trailblazers fan, I would have felt this way. I still can't believe the Trailblazers of all teams are the ones that went out and did it. But shout out to them again, I guess. We can go on to the next thing, which is Jalen Duren is going to go weigh his options. He is not happy with Detroit. Detroit, which I think like deservingly so, isn't willing to pay him a supermax or whatever because he made all NBA team and he was an all-star and all this yada yada yada. They're like, nah, go prove us you can get that bag then. Which I think kudos to Detroit. I love when teams do this. I love when teams don't just fold and give a player the bag, especially coming off the playoffs that Jalen Duren just had, which was just atrocious. He couldn't even be on the court. There were times where Paul Reed, B-ball Paul, was getting minutes over an all NBA center in Jalen Duren. So shout out to them. He's going to visit with the Kings and the Lakers. I want to say were the two teams. I don't know. I don't know if the Lakers have money, but LeBron's leaving them now, so they might. But I know he's going to visit with the Kings. I think it's going to be one of those things where Detroit does end up re-signing him. Like I don't think he's actually going to leave. But hey, if the Kings just throw him an absolute bag and Detroit's like, you know what, we're good. We're good. I'm kind of concerned about Detroit though. They're like falling apart. Tobias Harris is going to leave. Duncan Robinson is somebody that they're saying they're going to cut, which Duncan Robinson to back to Miami would be so phenomenal. I know they just brought back Simone Fontecchio, but I don't think that stops Miami from bringing Duncan back. Um, with Giannis and Bam, that spacing for him would be chef's kiss. It would be so good. But Yeah, so the Pistons are kind of just falling apart. Tobias Harris is leaving. They just traded away Beef Stew. Like I don't know what they got going on. Kawhi was a guy that they were linked to that and now he's gone. I'm a little bit concerned for Detroit because it doesn't look great. It doesn't look great, especially if they lose Jalen Duren. I wouldn't want to pay him all that money either, but at the end of the day, it's like what's your backup option there? Because you already traded Stu. So what you're gonna play B-ball Paul as your starting power forward or center? Who's even gonna start for them at power forward? I don't know. Who's gonna be their start? Like who's gonna start? Who's gonna play for them? Who's gonna even play for them this year? Hopefully they bring another guy, and I'm still hoping the Tyler Hero thing works out for them. But they just don't have a lot of pieces. I mean, they have a lot of young guys who like might be able to turn into something like a Ron Holland, like might be able to. I don't know. For a 60-win team, they are having a really, really rough offseason, and it kind of sucks if you're a Pistons fan. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know what Detroit's got going on. Like Detroit was just in a place where they looked so promising. 60 wins. Cade looks phenomenal. Jalen Duren looks phenomenal. Duncan Robinson fits in that team perfectly. You know, Tobias Harris is playing really well off the bench. And then come playoff time, it's like, Jalen Duren's not on nothing. Tobias Harris had maybe one or two good games. Duncan Robinson got injured. Asar Thompson, it's hard to play him because he as good as he is defensively, he's a nothing burger offensively. And it's just the Cade show. And Cade hooped his ass off. Cade, you know, came back down 3-1 damn near by himself. Oh, Tim Hardaway Jr. is going to Miami, which is huge. That is such a good signing for Miami. We will talk about that in a second. Let me finish this about the Pistons. But they are really in a spot where like it's felt like they were going to come into this offseason and do something crazy, but it's kind of just been like the opposite. Isaiah Stewart's gone. Duncan Robinson looked like he's on the way out. Jalen Duren might be on the way out. Kawhi Leonard is the guy that they were linked to. He's not on a move. He moved to a different team. Tyler Hero is the guy that was linked to them, but now it's looking like the Bucks are going to keep him. I still have hold out hope, but I don't know. So Detroit fans, shout out my friend Tank. I hate you, but the Pistons are struggling, and I hate to see it, but I kind of don't really care at the same time because I just want Miami to win everything. But like as an unbiased fan, it kind of sucks to see them falling apart. But you know they still got Kate Cunningham, they still got some pieces, they still got a really good coach, so it's not over for Detroit. Like they still got the best defender in the league in Asar Thompson, right? They still got Isaiah Joe, they still got Ron Holland, I guess. I don't know, but Tobias Harris just sounds Miami. Let's talk about it. Tobias Harris, bro. Why do I keep doing this? I'm so bad at that. Like I'm so bad at talking. Like Tim Hardaway Jr. signs to Miami. Breaking news, I guess. That is so huge for the Heat. What he provided last year in Denver, off the bench, 6-man. Like I thought he could have been very, very easily been 6-man of the year. Let me just pull up his stats real quick. And he was somebody that's been linked to Miami the last couple of days, so I'm not overly surprised by this, but I'm very, very happy about it. He averaged 13, almost 14 on 45% from the field, 41% from three. Yeah. Yeah. Give me that. Give me that in Miami. 34 years old, playing alongside Bam and Giannis, give that spacing. I hope he's still a 6-man. I hope they still go get a Duncan Robinson if he gets cut. I would love to see Duncan back. Davion Mitchell, Duncan Robinson, Wiggins, who just signed an extension. Wiggins will be back for the next 3 years in Miami. Unfortunately, he still is making $30 million this year. He didn't opt in. He opted out. However, it was an extension. So no, I think I don't remember. It was he got a 3-year extension. Whatever. Cool. So we don't have that full mid-level exception. So that whole like LeBron situation is looking a little different, but still out there. If they bring in LeBron, yeah, boy, we looking fake decent in this mug if we bring in LeBron. I don't really know where LeBron would play. Like, like do you start LeBron at the point guard? Like, would it be LeBron, Duncan? I'm gonna keep saying Duncan. Just I'm trying to speak it into existence. Wiggins, Bam, or Giannis, Bam, off the bench, Davion Mitchell, Tim Hardaway Jr., Pella Larson, Bobby Porter. Yeah, don't tempt me with a good time, y'all. That's a finals roster. That is a finals roster if I've ever seen one. So hopefully they can get that done. But Tim Hardaway Jr. Provides very much needed shot creation and shot making off the bench for Miami. I'm thinking they still go out and make a couple more moves. I'm thinking like a Chris Middleton is probably pretty likely. Obviously, I keep saying Duncan Robinson, if he gets cut, is pretty likely. Um, they just brought back Simone Fontecchio. They still got Pelle Larson. They still got Bobby Portis, who I've heard in trade talks a little bit, but he can shoot it off the bench. They got shooting. That's what I think is so underrated about this team is like we have shooting. Davion Mitchell shot almost 40% from three. Wiggins shot almost 40% from three if he didn't shoot 40% from three. Now Tim Hardaway is a 41% three-point shooter. Simone Fontecchio shot 38% from three last year. He was really cold at the second half of the season too. He started off the year really hot. Pelle Larson can shoot the three ball. Bobby Portis was at 40% last year. Bam was at 30. I want to say he was at like 32%, but he took a lot of off dribble threes and he was doing a lot of stuff. I think with Giannis spacing and stuff, he'll probably be up to 36, 37% from three on less attempts. So everyone concerned about spacing for this Heat team. I'm not worried about it at all. Like at all. I think more teams like the Raptors are a team you got to be worried about. Who we can get right into that. Kawhi Leonard just got traded to the Toronto Raptors. Back to Toronto. It's a reunion. And it's almost like, Kawhi, why didn't you just stay the whole time, man? Why didn't you? Y'all could have repeated. Y'all could have gone again. They would still have OG Anunoby. They would have been lit in that mug had Kawhi just stayed. Instead, he went to Los Angeles, did nothing for 4 years, and now he's coming back. 6 years. It was actually a long ass time he was in. He was over there. 1 year, $6.5 million. He used some of their mid-level exception on Tim Hardaway Jr. Not shocking. Anyways, like I was saying, I don't remember what I was saying. I completely lost what I was saying. Kawhi Leonard is going to Toronto for what was it? Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, and 2 first-round picks and a pick swap and a second-round pick. I think it was a second-round pick swap and just a straight-up second-round pick. Really good move for both sides. At first, my first initial reaction to this trade was I don't like it for the Raptors. Off rip, I was not a fan of this trade for the Raptors. Then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? They have so much depth on that team. They have Emmanuel Quickly, RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, Kawhi Leonard, Jakob Poeltl. Off the bench, they still got Colin Murray Boyles. They have Shed. They have some guys, right? They have a lot of guys, a lot of like talent. And I think a duo of Scotty Barnes and Kawhi Leonard defensively, like that's nasty. That's nasty. I'm really excited to see Kawhi there. I think that if I'm the Raptors, I'm still trying to move off of Emmanuel Quickly, and I wouldn't be opposed to getting rid of RJ Barrett either. But overall, I mean, this just to me solidifies the Raptors as a top 6 seed. They will be as long as Kawhi can stay healthy. This is all contingent on Kawhi staying healthy. He's a 35-year-old who's never been healthy in his career, right? So if he can stay healthy, and they can just get into the playoffs, at least to play in, the Raptors are a contender. The Raptors are the real deal. At first, my first initial reaction was really like, why would they do this? Why would they like 2 first-round picks for a 35-year-old with a crazy injury history? Like it just didn't seem right. But I don't think we know what picks they were either. I'm hoping they didn't give up the Clippers picks that they did have. And on the Clippers side of things, it sucks, man. It sucks to be the Clippers. When you think about that night, what was it, 6 years ago now, 5 years ago, when we all got that notification that Paul George was being traded to the Clippers, and then Kawhi signed to the Clippers, and it was like, what? I don't remember which happened first. It might have been Kawhi first, and then the Paul George, and everyone was like, this is coming off Kawhi just won a chip. Paul George was just top 3 in MVP voting. Like the Clippers were supposed to be the truth. They traded up all this stuff, traded Shea and 20 picks and everything for Paul George because Kawhi was like, give me Paul George. And it just never panned out. Neither of them could stay healthy for an entire postseason run. And they just couldn't get the rest of the roster built out around them because obviously they spend so much to bring those two in. And then just a couple years later, you're sending him right back to where he was from, to where you got him from for Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, and 2 first-round picks. I mean, it just sucks. Obviously, Kawhi had all that stuff with him, with getting paid under the table. He had that 40-some million-dollar endorsement deal that he was a no-show endorsement deal, and the owner ended up being the one that runs the company or that owns the company, whatever it is, and looked a little sketchy. I think that this might have something to do with that. They're like, okay, let's just get off Kawhi and let's just kind of try to get that under the rug. Um, Plus, I'm glad the Clippers did decide to move on now before it's too late, where they realize, like, you know what, Kawhi is coming off the best year of his, well, not the best year of his career, but one of the most healthy years of the last several for him. He was really good in the playoffs, really good in the regular season. Like, they're like, you know what, let's just move on now because we were not competing with Darius Garland, Benedict Mathurin, and Kawhi Leonard. I don't even know if Benedict Mathurin's on the team. And whoever else, Brooke Lopez. Then I think they just brought Brooke Lopez back. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the Clippers were doing, but they went for it last year, and I honestly thought that they might have done some. They got John Collins, Bradley Beal, all this. It never ended up being the case. It didn't end up working out, but hopefully, hopefully for the Clippers' sake, they can get into this rebuild. They get some good picks. Um, and with this new lottery rule, like a lot of these first round picks that are being moved, like they could be something, like they could teams miss the playoffs, get to the play in, and boom, it jumps up to a top 4 pick. So I like it for the Clippers. I really like it for the Raptors now. After just thinking about it for the last couple hours, I actually really have started to fall in love with it for the Raptors. Um, it's a low risk move for them because, and they're saying LeBron will be patient. LeBron James will be patient and open minded in selecting his next destination, but the priority is having a realistic chance at competing for a championship, which kind of screams Miami, Cleveland, Golden State. Those are like the only 3 teams in the mix, and it kind of feels like it's going to be one of those 3 teams. I'm holding out hope it's Miami because, or Golden State. I think Golden State would be so fun. We'll get into that in a couple minutes here, but overall, my grade on the trade for both of those teams is kind of like an A. I think both teams will walk out happy. I think that's what's been so entertaining so far. Like, I think for all of these trades, both sides are kind of walking out happy. The Melo trade, I think both sides will walk out very happy. I think the Kawhi trade, both sides are walking out happy. The Ja trade, maybe not as much. I think both sides are walking out a little bit like, why did we do that? But like the Bucks trade, I think, or the Giannis trade, I think the Heat walk out very happy. I think the Bucks walk out very happy. Like, I think we're at a point right now in the NBA where we're making trades that aren't like one team's not getting fleeced, right? One team's not like winning like the trades. Like, it's like, okay, this makes sense for the Clippers, but it also really makes a lot of sense for the Raptors. Okay, trading LaMelo Ball for the Timberwolves makes a lot of sense. Like, let's go compete. But also for the Hornets are like, why? Like, let's sell high on a guy that we don't necessarily trust that he can bring us a championship. The Heat are like, let's go get the guy in Giannis. And the Bucks are like, yeah, we'll take all these young players and these young picks and we'll get more assets and Tyler Hero and we'll be able to do whatever. Like, I think all sides are really being able to get out happy. I think that has something to do with the parity era that we're in. Is so many teams that they can compete, and the teams that can't compete kind of know they can't compete. So they're like, let's rebuild, let's rebuild. But we're not gonna be butt ass terrible. But let's try to get like some assets. So I think this offseason for all the trades except for like maybe like the Miles Bridges trade and the Nets trade. I didn't love those 2 trades for the Timberwolves. I hated it. And for the Suns, I didn't like the Miles Bridges trade, which we'll get into. But so far this offseason, man, this offseason has been phenomenal. I think this has been one of the best, most entertaining off seasons, and free agency just started. Like, there's so much more left. There's so many more. Jaylen Brown is still in the mix of getting moved. LeBron, we don't know where he's gonna go. So let's just talk about that now. LeBron James comes out today and he says, "I am done, Lakers. Y'all, I'm informing y'all. You guys can move on with your free agency, and I have no plans of returning." Which kind of means I think one of 2 things, but I guess it's one of 3 things. And Miami just signing Tim Hardaway Jr. might make it a little bit more difficult, but I think he's Miami bound or he's Golden State bound. The Cleveland thing, I don't really buy into as much just because they have literally no money. And it's like, do you want to trade away Jared Allen to be able to bring in LeBron James at 41 years old? Maybe, because that's their franchise's GOAT. But it's like, does that get you closer to competing for a championship? I just don't really like Cleveland roster. I'm not really fond of a lot of the players they have on there now. Like, I don't like the James Harden extension. I don't hate the James Harden extension, but it's just like he just sucks every playoffs. Like, there's no excusing that. And then like Donovan Mitchell has, to me, been on the downfall the last couple years. He'll still put up crazy numbers, but it's just like I feel like watching him is just not the same as like his Utah days and even like his first year with the Cavs or whatever. But and then Evan Mobley, who's been kind of stagnant offensively, is a monster defensively, but I don't know. I don't want him to go there. But the Golden State stuff, like bias aside from the Heat stuff, like Golden State stuff to me sounds so fun. Like imagine a team, imagine a team with Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, because he got injured in January. He can come back come playoff time, y'all. So imagine it's Steph Curry. I don't even know who they would start at the two. Jimmy Butler. Nah, hold on. I'm trying to think how this lineup would go. It would probably be Steph, Jimmy, Braun, um, Draymond, and Tingus Pingus. Like you don't think that roster come playoff time, and off the bench you got Melton, you got Pods, you got Guy Santos, and you got Al Horford. You're telling me come playoff time that roster can't give a team a run for its money. A young team. I like him over Houston. I like him over the Lakers. I like him over every team that's not OKC or San Antonio. And I don't know. I don't know. I've seen Steph Curry be able to just do some shit. Obviously, we've all seen Braun be able to do some. Jimmy Butler come playoff time, like, come on. Like, I know he's gonna be a little older. He's coming off an ACL tear, but like, it's still playoff Jimmy. It's still playoff Jimmy now. It's still playoff Braun now. We just saw Braun a couple months ago dominate Houston in the playoffs. And Steph Curry, he's been in and out of the lineup, but Steph Curry, we've not seen even taking a step back at all. And then you match that up with Porzingis still, Draymond Green defensively. Off the bench, you still got Brandon Podziemski, Guy Santos, who I really have I like as a bench role player. All I'm saying is don't tempt me with a good time with that lineup. I think that is a lineup that 100% could compete come playoff time. Like, if he's not coming to Miami, that is absolutely my dream destination for LeBron. Absolutely. I think it would be so fun. They might only play like 40 games together in the regular season, but that don't matter. If they healthy come playoff time, they healthy come playoff time. I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. But then I guess we can talk about Miles Bridges. He is on the Phoenix Suns and a deal for, what was it, Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal. And I feel like there was a pick involved. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. But Miles Bridges is a Sun. The Suns are an interesting team to me because it's kind of just like, I don't really know what they're doing per se. Like they're just kind of stuck in mediocrity, which I guess isn't a bad thing, especially with the new lottery rule. But like, I don't see them competing for anything. Like, I love Book, I like Colin Gillespie. Is that no? I'm missing a syllable in there. I'm tweaking, but Colin, Brian Dunn, like he's cool. Came in Molly Watch. Hopefully he can play. Now they got Miles Bridges. Like they'll be a fun team. They'll be a solid team. They'll win 45 games, but it just doesn't really move the needle. And I'm kind of glad for the Hornets that they can finally just be done with the nonsense. And they got rid of LaMelo, which is a little harder. Now they get rid of Miles Bridges, and now all that nonsense that was going on in Charlotte is kind of gone. Even though it was entertaining and it was fun for everybody. But yeah, so far this offseason has been absolutely phenomenal. Unfortunately, all the audio from the segment I had with my friend Robbie got completely ruined. It was an echo going on. I'm not going to post that. It was really bad. But we will have him back on next week. We will go over the wins and losses of this draft. Some of our favorite picks, some of our least favorite picks, some of the best fits. But yeah, that will actually end up doing it for this episode. It is a shorter one because we had a whole extra hour segment that we had to throw out the window, but we will be back next week. It'll probably be an hour and a half long episode because we will be talking about any new moves that happen in the next week, which I'm sure will be a lot. I'm sure we'll have information on where LeBron goes, where some other big name free agents go, and some other teams, maybe some more trades go down. Maybe we finally see Jaylen Brown get moved. And then we will also be doing our top 10 small forward ranking. continuing the pattern. We did shooting guards last week, if you haven't checked that one out, and point guards the week before. And then we will have Robbie back on to talk some draft and just NBA stuff and just shoot the shit with the boys. So thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode. I will catch y'all next week.